So in this video, we are going to see a difference between Internet Gateway and a NAT Gateway. So confusing between Internet Gateway and NAT Gateway is a very common if you are new to AWS or you are not having a clear understanding of the AWS networking concept. So in this video, I am going to show you with a demo that what is the difference between Internet Gateway and NAT Gateway and how these two works. Okay, so first we'll try to understand the difference here. So when we should use Internet Gateway and when we should use a NAT Gateway, what is relation between these two. So first we'll see about Internet Gateway in my left table. So you can see Internet Gateway allow resources in VPC to connect to the internet and enable incoming connection from the internet. Now suppose if you have VPC and if you are resources like EC2 instance or Kubernetes engine like EKS in your VPC, and if these of services or resources want to access the internet, then you always need a internet gateway. So without internet gateway you cannot connect any of your resources to a external world, that is internet. It is also required if you want to connect from your remote system. Suppose I want to connect to my EC2 instance from my laptop remotely. In that case also I need a internet gateway. So you can see in feature the first point is bidirectional traffic. Okay, so you can see the first feature is bidirectional traffic. It means it supports both inbound and outbound connection. You need internet gateway when you want to access the internet, as well as you need internet if you want to access your EC2 instance from the internet. Second, it is attached to VPC. Third, if you want to use internet gateway, you must have a public IP. Also, it is a free service. You do not need to pay anything for internet gateway. And what is the use case? So I would say whenever you want to access resources on internet, website, APIs, or need to access external users need access to your EC2 instance, then you always need a internet gateway. So if the subnet is having internet gateway, it is called as a public subnet. Now this is about a internet gateway. Now we'll talk about a NAT gateway. When we need a NAT gateway, so suppose you are having EC2 instance which is in a private subnet, which do not have public IP or which is not having internet gateway in their subnet. In that case, we have to use a NAT gateway. So NAT gateway is used when you want to access the internet on your private EC2 instances or private resources and you don't want to expose them to the internet. So whenever we are using NAT gateway, always remember NAT gateway also use internet gateway to access the resources. But instead of your traffic directly going to the internet, your traffic first go to the NAT, then NAT external IP use along with your internet gateway, and then you will have access to your internet. But always remember this is only for outgoing traffic, so you cannot log in your EC2 instance using NAT gateway. You can access the internet, but there is no way around. It is only for outbound traffic. It is used with private subnet and it is a chargeable service. So if you are using NAT gateway, you need to pay for NAT gateway. And its use case, I would say EC2 instance to access the internet. Suppose you are having EC2 instance which needs some package to be downloaded from the internet. In that case you use internet gateway. Let me just try to explain you one more time with a diagram. So here you can see we are having one public subnet, we are having a private subnet. Now this public subnet is having this internet gateway. This is a symbol or icon for internet gateway. So now this public subnet can access the internet because it is having internet gateway, and in public subnet you will have route to access the internet. So whenever you want to access anything on internet, your target in the route table should be your internet gateway, and using internet gateway you will access the internet. Similarly, anyone from the internet, if your security group is allowing, anyone from the internet can log in into your EC2 instance or access your services. You can see this arrow, this is a bidirectional traffic for your internet. Now if I talk about NAT gateway, so in the right side you can see your public subnet is directly accessing internet using your internet gateway. But your private subnet, you need to have NAT gateway in your public subnet. Your NAT gateway will use internet gateway. So if you want to access internet from private EC2 instance, it will first send your traffic to NAT. NAT will go to internet gateway, and here you can see it is a arrow is not bidirectional. So your traffic is only going out, it is not coming in. But here in internet gateway your traffic is going out as well as coming in. So this is how we can differentiate a internet gateway and NAT gateway. Now I'll go to my AWS console. I'll create one private subnet. I'll create one public subnet. I'll create EC2 instance in private subnet, and I'll also create one EC2 instance in public subnet, and I'll try to explain you the difference between internet gateway and NAT. So let's go to the AWS console now. Now I am in my VPC, not VPC, I'm in my AWS console. So I'll go to a VPC page and first create one new VPC for us. We'll not use the default VPC. So I'll go with a new VPC and I'll create one public subnet and one private subnet in my new VPC. So currently I'm in Virginia. So let me go to the Mumbai region, which I was using usually. So I'm in my Mumbai region now, and here I'll create my VPC. So currently there is one VPC which should be a default VPC. So I'll go and create new VPC. Okay, so either you can create VPC and subnet all these resources at once, but I will not go with this way. I'll just create my VPC. So I'll just give the name as my IG, or name I will give as my VPC. Okay, so range I will give my favorite, that is 10.0.0.0/16 for my VPC. Okay, tenancy default, I'll just create my VPC. And now I'll go to the subnet. So currently these three subnets are belong to a default VPC. If I filter it based on my VPC, there is no subnet. So I'll create two subnets here. One I'll choose as a private subnet. So what is private subnet? Where we do not have internet gateway. And what is public subnet? Where we have internet gateway. So I'll choose first as a public subnet. Okay, availability zone I can choose A. This is my VPC range, and here I can put 10.0.0.0/20, so 4096 IPs. Create. I have to add one more subnet, so I had option there as well, I missed that. Subnet I'll give name as my private subnet. Again I'll keep it in A. So this IP we already use, but how we can get next IP I will show you. So this we already use. If I create, it will throw an error. So I'll just click on this next button and I got next available IP range. So I created. So now let's see, in our VPC we have two subnet, private subnet and a public subnet. Now for these two subnet we should be having a route table. Okay, so before that what I will do, for my public subnet I will create one internet gateway. So let's go create internet gateway. So I will give name my internet gateway. So creating internet gateway is very easy. Okay, so I have internet gateway available now, and I will just attach that internet gateway. So you have to attach your internet gateway to your VPC. I will select VPC, my VPC, and I will attach internet gateway. Now your internet gateway is attached, but again one thing is missing, that is a route table. So this is my main route table. I want to create, you can see main areas. I want to create separate route table for my public subnet and separate route table for my private subnet. Go and create a route table. So this is my public route table. I'll select VPC, my VPC, and I'll create action, edit subnet association, and I will edit only for. So now this route table will be used by public subnet. I'll create one more route table, private route table. I'll select VPC, create route table. I'll just edit subnet association and I will attach it to my private subnet. Okay, now you can see Now I'll go to root table here. Okay, now we have, so we had PCs, we have root table, public root table, and private. That is fine. Now let me open new tab and let me create EC2 instance in both the subnet now. Okay, so I'll go to EC2 and I will launch instance. I'll click on launch instance. First I will launch my public instance. EC2. Okay, I will keep the default configuration. I will not change anything, but I have to change the network. I will go without key pair. So network I want not default, I want my VPC, and subnet first I want a public subnet. So here you will create a security group and you will allow a traffic. So I'll just add create allow SSH and I will use the same security group for both of my VM. So it is just allowing traffic on SSH from anywhere. So I'll just launch my instance. Okay, now what I will do, I will first check this instance if internet is accessible, because this is a public EC2 instance in public subnet and we also have internet gateway, but we are still missing one step. I'll show you once I log in into my instance. So I'll go to connect instance and I'll try to SSH using EC2 instance. Now you can see no public IPv4 address asking. So let me go back. I think we missed that. So let's go to networking setting and we manage IP address. So public IP address we have not assigned. So I'll just select this auto assign public IP and save it. Okay. Now I'll go to connect. So instance is not in public subnet, even though it is in public subnet. Why it is not giving? Because as I said, we are missing one step. What the steps we are missing? So now I have internet gateway in my public subnet, but how my EC2 instance will understand there is a internet gateway? For that we have to update our public route table. So here you can see currently only one route, that is any traffic within the VPC should be remain in VPC. But what about outgoing traffic? So any traffic which is going out should be go through the internet gateway. So that we have to tell my route table. So I'll just update my route table and let me refresh it. So this warning should go away within few seconds and I should have option to connect using EC2 instance connect. Okay, now this warning went away. Now it means internet gateway is required even you are making connection from your system to EC2 instance, that is inbound traffic. So let me connect now. Now that is confirmed you need internet gateway for inbound traffic. We'll confirm if it is required for outgoing traffic. It means the internet gateway is bidirectional. Now let's see, I'll try to use ping google.com. I'm trying to reach a google.com. It is working. So let me just go and remove the route which we created for our internet. So I'll just remove this route for a few seconds and let's see now. So now you can see this is stopped now. Now it is not able to reach to the google.com. Even it is not responding, even SSH is not working. Let me go back again and update my route table. Now it is confirmed internet gateway is required for bidirectional traffic. You can access the internet or you can access EC2 instance from the internet. Now we'll talk about NAT gateway. So it should work, but we have to again go to connect and connect instance. You can see this also started working now. Okay, so this is how we can use internet gateway in a public subnet. Now I'll launch a new instance. I'll close this now. I'll launch new instance and I will launch instance in my private subnet. Okay, so I will not assign any public IP. Okay, so here I'll go in edit. I will not use the default network because we are having our own VPC, that is my VPC. I'll choose my VPC and subnet. Now I will choose a private subnet. No, this is not having, so I'll keep atos and public IP disabled, so it is not having any public IP. And security group, I will choose existing. Let me create new one. So here also I am allowing traffic, okay, on a port 22. So rest of the configuration I'll keep default and I'll launch instance. Okay, so now if I go to instance and if I try to connect, I will not able to connect with EC2 instance connect because it requires a public IP and also internet. So if I click on connect, so it will say it is not having public IP, it is not in public subnet. So this is true, it is not in a public subnet, it is not having a public IP. So what option we have? We have EC2 instance connect endpoint. So for now we will create endpoint for time being and will connect to our private instance. So it will take few seconds to create endpoint. You just give a name my endpoint. It is for AWS service. I'll choose it EC2 instance connect endpoint in my VPC. Security group, I will choose allow SSH. Create endpoint. So subnet must be selected. We have the option to select subnet here. So we need it for private subnet. Okay, why it is not allowing now? Okay, selected the subnet. Let me refresh this page because we got an error. I'll give the name as my endpoint again. I'll select EC2 instance connect endpoint. I'll select my VPC. I'll select allow SSH. I'll select subnet, private subnet, and now I'll create endpoint. So now my endpoint is created. So it is in pending state. Let's wait for this to be in a available state. Now it took almost 5 minutes to be in available stage. So it is in currently in available state. Let me go back here and refresh. So it took my endpoint. Now I can connect to my EC2 instance without a public IP using the EC2 instance connect endpoint. So once I'm able to connect without internet gateway, because this subnet, private subnet, is not associated with internet gateway, or there is no route that can send traffic to internet gateway. Now suppose if I try to access ping google.com, so it will not reach to google.com because there is no outgoing traffic route. So if I go to a private subnet route table, so this is my private subnet route table and you can see, so there is no route for outgoing traffic. So here I cannot directly use a internet gateway as well because it requires a public IP. So suppose if I add internet gateway here and let's see if it will work. Okay, and if I try to see if it works, it will not work. It's still not work because I do not have public IP attached to my instance. So what we should do, so in this case we need a NAT gateway where your instance is private, your instance is not having public IP, and still you want to access internet, you want to update some packages. So in that case you need a NAT gateway. So I'll go back again to my VPC and I will go to a NAT gateway and I'll create one NAT gateway. So we'll just create NAT gateway. I'll give the name as ngw subnet. I will choose. Now your NAT gateway should be in a public subnet, always remember, because your NAT gateway also use a internet gateway to access the internet. So you will choose a NAT gateway. So yeah, connectivity type you can choose a public, allocate elastic IP, you can allocate, and create NAT gateway. Okay, so once your NAT gateway is created, you have to still add or update your route table. Instead of now traffic for your private subnet to go through internet gateway, it will go via a NAT gateway. So I'll select here a NAT gateway and should use NAT gateway. I'll save the changes. Now let's see, it is not working, and in few seconds it will start working. And now you can see it started working, and you can see the traffic. It is able to reach to the google.com now, but it is only outgoing because we still needed EC2 instance connect endpoint to SSH into your EC2 instance. Now your NAT gateway will use internet gateway, but your instance will use a NAT gateway. So hope you understood now what is the difference between internet gateway and NAT gateway and how they can work along with each other. So that's it for this video, and we'll see you again in a next video.